Steve and Alan's pro tips in a short time. Learn a lot.
Hey, Alan.
Hey, Steve.
Today I'd like to take just a few minutes to talk about programming and the concept of flexible instrumentation. I think this has become kind of a pejorative term, and I wish people would give it a little bit more of a chance.
You college teachers and your big words. Why can't you just say negative term?
Sorry. I think it's become a deprecatory, defamatory, disparaging, and derogatory term.
Okay, well, we'll work on the thesaurus later. So, flex music. I'm assuming this mainly applies to our listeners who teach band, jazz band.
Yes, but before our other listeners peace out, so to speak, I would like to start by acknowledging something, and that is, for centuries, our string players and singers have had very musically rewarding experiences, and I know this might be shocking for our band listeners. Many of those experiences involve performing repertoire with only 2, 3, or 4 parts.
Whoa. You mean it's possible to have a great musical experience without 12 different instruments playing 25 different parts with different clefs and transpositions?
Well, we joke, but I think this has inadvertently become the philosophy for many, many band directors. And I do understand why this has happened. You and I started playing in a concert band, stayed in a concert band throughout high school, and decided to pursue careers teaching band. And a large factor in this was we like how bands sound.
Yeah.
We think it's cool. There are so many different tone colors and combinations. And there's something different about being the only tuba player in a group or the only first oboe player in a group, as opposed to being one of 15 singing the soprano part or one of 8 playing the viola part.
Okay, good. So you're not saying the choir and string orchestra repertoire are superior?
No, not at all. I think there's something wonderful about the one-on-a-part aspect of big band jazz or hearing a true wind ensemble play the Hindemith Symphony in B-flat. But let's think about this for a minute, starting with the concert band. The Eastman Wind Ensemble used 1 saxophone player per part. If we have 4 alto saxophone players in our program, we usually don't think twice about letting them all play in the band, right?
Yeah, right. Assuming it's a program with just one band.
Okay, good point. So if it's a program with 2 bands, maybe the so-called top band has perfect instrumentation, but the second band, that's going to have double parts, right?
Oh, yeah.
So in jazz band, how many times have we seen a slightly larger than normal saxophone, trombone, or trumpet section in the name of getting more students involved?
Yeah, we see that all the time. I did that. But how does this fit in with flex instrumentation? Isn't that for groups who don't have enough people on certain parts?
Yes, but I wanted to start with this point. If one reason you are avoiding flex concert band or flex jazz band charts is because you think that it's vital to adhere to the models established by the Eastman Wind Ensemble or the Count Basie Big Band, well, most of us are already making pretty significant compromises when it comes to that anyway.
Yeah, and back to your point about choir and strings, it seems like those teachers aren't having any trouble helping their students learn about tone, technique, and musicianship with just 4 or fewer parts.
Yeah, and I'd actually argue they are set up better to teach those things with fewer parts. And a lot of it has to do with student attention span in the year 2026.
Yeah, that makes sense. So when I stop to help the jazz band's second tenor player with their part or work with just the third trumpets in the concert band, everyone else is just sitting there.
Yeah, and we can say, everybody else, please listen and figure out how your part fits or airplay or whatever, but we all know it's not the same as working on a technical or musical concept with a large number of students actively participating.
Yeah, and this is good for 2 reasons. Students are learning and doing more, and if they're doing something, they're less likely to get bored. So we've got better classroom management and better engagement. Kids are probably less likely to think band is boring and want to quit because they're doing stuff.
Yeah, good point. Even all these years removed, you and I are still worried about kids quitting like a true band director.
The fear never goes away.
Totally.
Got to keep them.
So one of those unintended positives, I think, to come out of the pandemic was the proliferation of flex arrangements. And it prompted quite a few conversations with me and fellow band directors. They usually scoff at the idea of programming them. And then I'll ask, So, what are the types of things you want your students to learn in your concert band or your jazz band?
I love it when you do this, especially to other
When,
people.
when I ask them questions?
No, when you trick people into making your point for you.
No, yeah, well, I do enjoy that, don't I? So, for concert band, they'll often say things like, I want them to play with good sounds, learn technique on their instruments, understand they are part of a larger team, and so forth. Jazz band, I'll hear things like, they get to learn how to swing, or they get a chance to improvise, or the rhythm section gets to play. You know what I don't hear very often?
You don't hear him say, it's a great way for my second alto saxist to hear that they're playing a different part than the third trombones.
Correct. Also uncommon that they would say something like, it's awesome that my fourth best trumpet player has to play an independent part all by himself in jazz band. Way more common, I'll hear them complain, my second alto saxes can't count to save their lives, or my fourth trumpet player keeps playing a shelf too high because he's trying to match what he's hearing in the rest of the section.
I laugh because it's literally the part that I would double the most is the fourth trumpet player in jazz band. Okay, so to be clear, you do think it's okay for students to learn some of those skills, playing independent parts or learning how the different instruments can create different tone colors?
Yeah, not only do I think it's okay, I encourage band directors to help their students learn those skills. And I'm not saying, hey, just program everything in unison all the time, because that way all students can work on the exact same concepts at the exact same time every minute of every day. Not saying that at all. As we've talked about time and time again on this podcast, I'm suggesting a middle ground. And most importantly, selecting repertoire to meet the needs of your students.
You're talking my language now.
Yeah. So if one of your goals for this concert set is to teach your jazz band students about Charlie Parker, why not use a flex chart on one of his tunes that goes together quickly? You could use another chart in the set to help them learn about playing music with one person per part. Or if the main goal is to work on slow and legato and expressive playing, why couldn't it be just a 4-part flex concert band arrangement?
Yeah, right. And back to those second altos in my concert band who can't count very well on their own. Why does every piece in the concert need to have an independent part for them to play? Maybe we pick a flex chart or two where they can feel successful. Then we challenge them on one or two other pieces.
Right. And a bonus or a reminder, when more students are playing simultaneously, it hides some of those less desirable tone qualities, and it can even make it much more difficult for the audience to hear wrong notes.
Yeah, that might be wise when you're programming for a judged performance. Back to our one rule in music, make it sound good.
Yes, exactly. I've been encouraging jazz band directors in particular to consider teaching flex charts or even just the melody in unison to their wind players and performing that way at concerts and festivals. And guess what? Those bands started placing much higher at contests. The judges were happy that the group sounded good, and no judge was taking away points because the third trombone player wasn't playing his own very different part from everybody else.
Yeah, I have been out of the game for a little while. So I do want to clarify. Does this work for all levels or just like beginning and middle school band?
That's a good point. Thank you for thinking about that. I should have mentioned this earlier. So we have many resources for flexible concert band and jazz band repertoire now. It's not just for beginners. There are plenty of 3, 4, and 5-part selections with advanced technical and musical demands. There's no reason our high school and college listeners couldn't implement them. In fact, I'm playing the Hal Leonard Little Big Band arrangement of 4 by Miles Davis right now, arranged by Mark Taylor. I wanted a vehicle for my very best improvisers to be challenged on difficult chord changes, but I didn't want to spend a bunch of rehearsal time on the chart itself. The chart sounded great instantly. Don't need to rehearse it, and the top soloists are getting a workout and have plenty to practice.
Okay, so band directors, when you're programming for your concert and jazz students, think about meeting the needs of your students. What concepts do you want them to learn? What percentage of rehearsal time do you want them actively participating? When you start answering those questions, you might find yourself heading in a different direction for some of your programming.
That's a perfect summary. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks for the idea, Steve.
Steve and Alan's Pro Tips in a short time. Learn all.